Hey Claude, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Glad you're here, guys. This is the one and only Claude Diamond. Uh,
Oh,
didn't your
sorry.
wife give that to you on your honeymoon? Is
Hey,
that the joke?
that's my bad joke.
So we're going to talk about sales today, and this is probably the most important part of this whole business. Um, as Claude always says, sales is the $1 million skill.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't understand sales, you can do all the marketing in the world. You can understand how all the contracts work. You can understand how to find buyers or whatever. But if you don't know how to talk to sellers or buyers, you're up a creek.
You said it brilliantly. Yeah, I've met people who've worked so hard on studying the strategies, okay, and learning all the nuances of the different strategies. And we know there's so many out there, lease purchasing, wholesaling, rehabbing, all these things. And people really spend a lot of time on it. Then the next step is the marketing. You teach it, I teach it. We have different methods of teaching it, and so now you got to get leads, and that takes time, and sometimes it takes a lot of money too. So
Yeah.
you could be the smartest student, and you could have the best leads, but let's go to step number three. You have to be not good, not adequate. You have to be superb at sales, at the psychology of persuasion. If you're going to monetize all that hard work, all that studying, all that money and time spent on leads, how do you monetize those leads?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
which is the most important? In my opinion, it's sales. Because you can have the best leads, you could be the smartest guy, but can you monetize these things?
Yeah. And so that's what I'm so glad, Claude, you're here to talk about this with me.
Thank you.
Um, but my whole premise of this course is to break everything down into its most basic, simplest form, right? So, like, how can we keep sales really, really simple? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we want to keep it simple, and we want to avoid the frustration and the nervousness and the rejection that I think so many investors go through in this wonderful business. And I think when somebody who's in this business, who's not maybe a seasoned pro and not used to a great deal of rejection and frustration and think about it and all the other things that we hear, I think after a while they procrastinate from doing the one thing that makes them money, and that's phone calls.
Yeah.
So we have to simplify it. Unfortunately, sales can be complicated. There's a lot of psychology in sales. There's not only in understanding the prospect's point of view, but in how do we feel? How do we stay motivated to make those calls? And to me, we have to make sales into an enjoyable, a fun experience. And
Yeah.
if it's something that's fun, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, you love to travel. Do I have to ask you if I said, Joe, here's some tickets to Prague? How long would it take you to make a decision to say, let's go, man, warm up the jet, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing something you love, something you're passionate about, it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Can we make sales? Can we make it easy? Can we make it so we're passionate about it? We all love real estate, and we love the money we get from real estate. It's just when we get to that sales part, a lot of us get bogged down. True or false?
Yeah. It gets a little nervous. I mean, we were talking about maybe making some calls today, just cold calls to Craigslist, and
Yeah,
I'm a little nervous. My palms are a little sweaty.
I have that
And
effect on everyone, Joe.
come on now. So, but there's some really simple steps to guts. Now, guts. I've told everybody in the course about this already, but guts is Claude's sales system. Claude, will you talk about real quickly the steps, the simple steps to guts when you're
Sure.
talking to?
We have three basic steps. Simple is a word I love, Joe. Um, the first step is an agenda where instead of sounding like a used car salesman, we go to the prospect in more of an adult to adult conversation, and we set up a contract up front. We say, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm interested in your property. Can I ask you a few questions, and maybe we can do business today? And then you ask me some questions, and let's find out if we're a good fit for each other today. And if not, you have my permission to fire me at the end of our conversation. Can you fire me today, Joe?
Oh yeah.
Could you do that for me? You don't have to say you'll talk to your wife or think about it or light a candle and, things like that. You can just say, Claude, you're fired.
Yeah.
And we're still friends, by the way, okay? I will not take it personally. I just don't, I respect you and your time as much as I do my own. Now,
Good.
off the role play or speech or whatever I
Yeah. Yeah.
just did. I don't like to use the word scripts too often, but don't you think, have you ever had anyone approach you in any business function where they were direct, they were honest, and they said, let's make an agreement, just like the beginning of a baseball game or a boxing match or something like that. Let's set some rules before we play the game.
Yeah, it makes it puts your guard down, right? It makes you feel a lot more at ease.
Yeah, I'm the easiest. You've heard me say this on your show so many times. I'm the easiest guy in the world to sell, but everybody sells me like I just came from some third world country and I have no idea of the culture of how business is done in this country. And I think most people are pretty immune to salespeople because they've heard them so often. So we need to approach them in a fresh, direct way where we gain credibility, likability, and the mountaintop of all sales, trust. And that's
Yeah.
what that first step agenda is really for, to gain that likability and trust, to do something completely different from our competition. That's the agenda step. Can I move to the second step?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
the second step is basically qualification. In order to do business with somebody, specifically in real estate, buyer, seller, investor, we need facts. We need numbers. We need to know what's the motivation. Why are you selling your home? Do you owe money on the home? How much is the payments on the home? Why are you selling the home right? Do you want to sell the home right now or in 6 months from now? Or do you want to buy a home right now? Or timeliness. How many times have we wasted a lot of time on someone who's not ready to do business today? So we should ask them about the time questions. Are they ready to do business now? Maybe why are they selling their home? Is there some is there some motivation there? Did they get a new job? Is the family expanding or shrinking? Divorce situations, whatever. We need to find if there's a level of motivation that we can capitalize on or expand on, or decide this is a person who will sit in this house for another 10 years and is really not ready to take an action or to make a commitment today. So I want to find out the time questions, the money questions, the motivation questions, the authority and character questions. And this is the guts. I was looking for a word and I said, wow, it's right in front of me. This is the guts of the GUTS sales system.
Yeah.
Okay, and GUTS stands for Great, Untraditional, Unorthodox Techniques of Sales and Success. We need to find a different way to sell that's fresh, that gets people's attention, and captures their interest. So we learn to ask the questions, and I know we're limited on time here, but we have to ask questions in a way that nurture or stroke or complement the prospect so that they feel good about us. And we have to be a pretty good actor to do that. Okay, not to be disingenuous or phony, but to make them comfortable, or what I call the environment of success. And this is kind of where my training, where I come in, we're role playing with people. You and I are going to do some of that. The training makes you, if you do it often enough, you get better at it. Enough said.
Yeah,
and
it takes practice.
It takes practice. And the question you got to ask yourself, is this your business or is this a hobby? And if it's a business, you got to practice to get good at it. And while it's like public speaking, you're a natural, but for me, I had to work really hard. I was a little nervous in the beginning about public speaking. I had to work really hard at it. I read good books and went to Toastmasters and all these things, so I finally got pretty good at it. But it took a long time for me. And sales is the same way. You got to practice, and it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, good. So what's the third step?
A third step, is commitment close. When we get all this information, we need to do a reviewal, and we get a commitment from the prospect, and we basically simply ask another question. Mr. Prospect, if I could help you sell your house, buy a house that meets with your budget in this time frame, how would you feel about that? What would you like to do next? And remember, in the beginning in the agenda, we eliminated the think about it and all that stuff. We just told them, you promised you would just fire me. Okay, and so we want to get some kind of commitment. And at this point, they're going to say, "Yeah, if you could help me solve that within my budget in that time frame for the right house, or buying, selling, investing for the yield I want, yes, I could. I think we could move forward." And and now you have at least a commitment to build on. And okay, and then that leads to the close. And this is finally where we relate our product knowledge to all the information that they gave us. Well, Mr. Prospect, I know you're looking for a house in this jurisdiction. I have a property, I have a listing, I have a home in this area. It's a little higher than your other price, so either can we pay more, or maybe we can work out something on the finance with you. And I know they want to close in this property before in the next 60 days. Would that be? Is that where we should start? Is that where we can we do this together and right now? And they'll say yes, or they'll bring up their objections. So this is really where the presentation comes in. But the presentation is based on the knowledge that you received, okay, from the qualification step. Does that make sense?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
See, most people give the presentation in the beginning, but you don't know what they need, what they want, what they can afford. And one of my rules is not everyone is a prospect. Not everybody has the money or the ability to make that commitment. So we better set up a plan, a rule plan first, the agenda. We better get the information second, the qualification. And third, let's get a commitment, and then let's review, and then let's finally close. But let's let the prospect do the closing. Let's let them say, "This sounds good, Claude or Joe. Let's go ahead. Let's move ahead. What do we need to do next?" Rather than the old-fashioned sales where you give a presentation and you ask for the order 5 times. And I think right now in this modern day and age, I think that people don't respond very well to that kind of annoying Q&A.
Yeah. That's really, really good.
Boy, I don't think I've ever reviewed those 3 steps that fast, Joe.
Well, that was really good. So you set the agenda. Give them permission to say no.
Give them permission. I say give them permission to fire you.
Okay. I'll write that down. Firing.
Yeah.
Good. All right. And so then the next step is qualifications.
Right.
Basically, why are you selling the house? And asking questions regarding their time, their money, their motivation.
Right.
Try to figure out really what's going on. And then you go to commitment and close, where the commitment is you just kind of review maybe what you've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, and that's kind of where the presentation happens, but I like how you do it where you phrase the presentation in like a question. Basically, it's like, if I could do this, and you're pushing, not their pain buttons, but you're pushing, you're touching their hot spots. The EQ. You understand what,
People make decisions emotionally very quickly, but then we have to help them justify it intellectually, academically, logically. But if we can bring up the EQ, Joe, it's a beautiful, and we might even go in the opposite redirection and things like that on our questions, but when people get emotional, they tend to make quicker decisions.
Sure.
And it's our job as professional investors, consultants, whatever title you want to give ourselves, to work smart. We all work hard. I think we work too hard. Now's the time to work simpler and smarter.
Yeah, very good. All right, so Claude, everybody knows too that you have this gut sales system where you really dive into a lot of depths about this, and you've graciously offered to give it to my students at 50% off. Is that right?
What?
Do you remember that? You said that.
Oh, if I said
you
it,
said so.
If I said it, I'll honor it, of course.
All right, so where can people go to get that?
ClaudeDiamond.com, or just Google Claude Diamond, or just call me 970-281-5151. I'm very easy to find.
Good. And then just say, hey, I'm Joe's student, and I saw your video. I think you normally sell it for $597. Isn't that right?
$595.
$595. All right, so you get 50% off.
We get 50%.
And it's
sure.
The best part of that whole thing is your guts is the sales manual, obviously, but it comes with a lot of extra stuff as well.
It's actually 3 manuals now. We just did an update on it, and then I don't know if you can see in the background, I'm working on a new book.
Oh, really?
Do you think that should be included in this?
I do.
Wow.
When do you come out with it?
It's going to come out this summer. It's called The Rules of Guts. It's basically, I have so many different rules that apply to this that have revolutionized art and science of persuasion. And what I tried to do is put the 25 most important rules concisely into this book with mind maps and everything else. It's something I've been working on a really long time. I have little notes and pieces of paper.
These are the index cards that you carry with you.
Yes! Boy, you know me. You know my little index card
Yes.
packet. I've been carrying these around and writing these things and finessing them for years. Well, I'm finally getting them into a book, and that'll be out probably by the end of this summer. And let me just throw that into the package. These folks, I think this will only help them to make sales simpler and more fun and get them to the bank more often.
Nice. Thank you very much, Claude.
You're welcome.
So can we do a couple role plays? Is that okay?
Sure.
And then we were talking before about maybe doing some real calls. Let me ask you, Claude.
Can I ask one question? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Do we want to stop this video and do a new one, or continue?
That's okay. We'll put this. We'll continue this. This is okay here.
Sorry.
That's all right. Claude, I know obviously in my opinion, it's better to have a warm lead than a cold lead, right?